Did Obi-Wan Kenobi deserve the massive backlash and hate that it received at the time of its release? The answer is, yes it did, thank you for stopping by. Alright, I guess I'll give this show the proper beatdown it so rightly deserves. Now, before I launch into my maniacal tirade on what I hate about this bloody show, I will state a few things. I do not hate any of the actors, nor hold any of them responsible for this travesty, and I completely condemn any harassment towards said actors. However, criticism is not harassment, so I'm not actor bashing and I'm not creating hateful messages, just making a little video in which I get increasingly irate at substandard entertainment. Right, now that I've got that little disclaimer out of the way, let's move on to why we're all here. We are here to point out the fact that this show is simply unacceptable! Unacceptable! And it was unacceptable. And if you disagree, then kudos to you, my friend. I wish I could turn my brain off and just enjoy half-baked ideas and shoddy writing too. But anyway, strap yourself in for a completely unoriginal critique of the Reva Savanda show. Sorry, I meant the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Now, one might ask, why am I coming back to a show that aired nearly 6 months ago, and why haven't I just moved on already? Well, I was perusing some Wikipedia pages, and I stumbled onto the Obi-Wan Kenobi series' wiki page, and something caught my eye. I noticed in the reception segment of the page that the show got generally positive reviews, and that everyone praised Ewan McGregor's acting, although some simply criticised the writing. But other than that, it was a perfect show.
What? Your Grace! Your Eminence!
Now, what made me hulk out and want to hit something was the blatant disregard of the criticisms levelled at this stupid show. But the fact the comments only said some, when almost everyone I know, and every review I watched of it at the time, said the show was like shoving toothpicks under your fingernails. The fact the show boasts an 83% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes just says it all, really, that the people reviewing this train wreck of a show are either lizard people who are so far removed from reality that they're off with the fairies in La La Land riding dinosaurs and drinking mimosas with Napoleon Bonaparte, or that these reviews were paid for by Disney, because I simply refuse to believe that these people honestly thought that this show was a 10 out of 10. There really is only one way to describe this show.
That is one big pile of shit.
Now, me accusing reviewers of being bought is hardly revolutionary, but what annoys me is that there are talks of a Kenobi Season 2, and if all the Disney douchebags sitting around in their echo chambers smelling their own farts only hear the good reviews, then just call me Nostradamus when I predict that they're going to pull this crap again. So, to any of the Disney execs, I write this little angry tirade for one purpose: to tell you that your show sucked and to fix it before you make a second season of this rubbish and we wind up back here again. Now, I'm sure most people already know the problems with this show, as many people have already said their piece on it, so I will attempt to be somewhat original, or at least somewhat humorous. The problem begins with the episode's length. The episodes range from 39 minutes to about 56 minutes, but because the title screen is roughly 2 minutes long, and the end credits are about 10 minutes long, that means the episodes are insanely short. That, coupled with the fact that we only got about 6 episodes, this show somehow manages the impossible feat of feeling like it went on forever by dragging its feet, and also rushing through at a breakneck pace. If I sat down and laid out the dot points of what happens in this show, you'd probably think to yourself, wow, how did they manage to fit all that into a 6-episode miniseries with such incredibly short episodes? Which my answer would be, they tank all the writers on this show up with so much cocaine and tell them if they don't fit all the major plot points in and introduce half a dozen new characters that they'll feed them to the company Rancor. Episodes go by where you feel like nothing has happened, but when you look at the plot synopsis you think, hang on, when the bloody hell did Leia get captured again? And when did Obi-Wan get steamrolled by Darth Vader? And how the hell did they break into the most secured facility in the Empire and walk out again in the same episode? When did they plan all this? And why the hell is Ice Cube in this show? And then you remember, oh, that's right, I must have missed that bit when I dozed off again. things don't happen because the characters make the plot happen. The plot has already happened, and the characters are being rushed along a conveyor belt and being told, right, this is the part where you say the line and do the thing, so do it and do it good. So there's absolutely no logic with the characters, and there certainly isn't a brain cell to be found in the writing room. So characters' dialogue and sometimes acting falls into the realm of the room.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
Character motivation and decision making is basically non-existent. So, shall we go through a rough summary of the plot before we dive into the characters, or should I say the complete lack of characters? Hold on to your butts.
Oh shit, here we go again.
So, the show is set exactly in the middle of Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, so we already know that any character that appears in A New Hope is safe, and any character that doesn't appear in the original trilogy is as dead as a dodo. This is mainly a problem with prequels in general, in which there seem to be an alarming amount of these days. But hey, familiarity breeds massive quantities of cash. So there's already a problem with the show before we even begin. But if you have a team of smart writers, you can circumvent that problem. So our hopes aren't dashed just yet. So we start the show off by meeting the Grand Inquisitor.
Hello.
And his little posse of Jedi hunters / killers, who are meant to be the most terrifying band of individual hunters, although we discover as this show goes on that they're absolutely useless at this job in every sense of the word. Every time they find Kenobi, he gets away in the most ludicrous way. And by ludicrous way, I mean it is always their fault that he gets away.
Observe, Boff, the dull incompetence of the criminal mind. It can never hope to match our level of technical expertise.
Which, while watching, just left me thinking, guys, you had one job. Why do you keep screwing this up? For goodness sake. This gang of highly ineffective Jedi hunting toddlers are looking for none other than Obi-Wan Kenobi, as he's been hiding for 10 years. And how do they know he's hiding on Tatooine? Because Reva looked in the script summary. Reva looked in the archives.
Are you serious?
Okay. I guess that makes sense. But wait, why was she looking in the archives in the first place? Don't know. How come no one else saw it in the archives? Don't know. And didn't the entire Jedi archives get utterly destroyed at the end of episode 3? Gosh, stop complaining and just accept that Reva looked in the archives, okay? Okay, I guess we'll run with that then. So, Obi-Wan is chilling and watching Luke and looking for any signs of him being Force sensitive, so he can teach him about being a Jedi. Although, we discover another problem, as Obi-Wan has gone the route of the Last Jedi version of Luke and cut himself off from the Force. So, if Obi-Wan is going to train Luke, how the hell is he going to do it? It'd be like an old professional boxer trying to teach a new upcoming boxer how to box after losing both arms and legs. Maybe Obi-Wan was just going to do what he usually does and wing it, lol. But then, in walks our adorable little secondary character, baby Leia. Now, I thought the actress playing Leia did a particularly good job, especially seeing most kid actors make me want to pour hot wax in my eyes and ears. So, kudos to her, I quite liked her. Her character, on the other hand, was about on par with the rest of the characters in this monumental turd of a show. So she's off being sassy and exploring the forest when she gets kidnapped by Flea, the bassist from Red Hot Chili Peppers, and also Needles from Back to the Future. Talk about a man of many talents. And the scene where Leia is running away has got to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. All this clip is missing is the Benny Hill theme song. Also, apparently Reva knew to kidnap Leia because she found that in the archives too. Jeez, wonder how many things the Empire would discover by simply looking in the archive. Maybe they'd discover that Darth Vader was Anakin Skywalker, and that he was totally wizard at pod racing.
I'm bringing it back!
So, Leia gets kidnapped as bait for Obi-Wan, because guess what? Reva found something in the archive connecting Bail Organa, Leia's dad, to Obi-Wan as well. Yes, this woman can apparently do no wrong, except emote, or be likable, or basically have anything even remotely connected to a positive personality trait. So, Bail goes to Obi-Wan, and while it was nice to see Jimmy Smits again, because the guy deserves all the acting roles, him seeing Obi-Wan completely negates the whole last 20 minutes of revenge, because the whole idea was to keep Luke secret and Obi-Wan hiding to watch over him, but here we have Bail recruiting Obi-Wan to save Leia. But as we discover throughout the whole series, except maybe the last 2 episodes, Obi-Wan is largely useless, and he's Obi-Wan in name only. But nonetheless, he accepts the mission, abandons Luke, his original mission, and he goes off to go save Leia. Why Bail doesn't get literally anyone else is beyond me, because like the idiot Jedi hunters, Obi-Wan had one job, and he buggered it up in the first episode. Oh yes, all this rip-roaring adventuring happens in the first episode, and yet it feels like nothing happens, nothing is accomplished, and that's the running theme throughout this bloody show. A lot happens in a short amount of time, and yet nothing happens. So, not much else to see here, so onward to episode 2, which is even more of a faff than the first episode. So, Obi-Wan heads to Night City. Sorry, I mean, Daiyu, because apparently they were able to track the ship, somehow, and for some reason no one suspects the trap. And Bail doesn't go to the Senate to say, "Hey, this crazy chick kidnapped my daughter. Let's have a revolution and demand the Empire stop being tyrannical dickheads." But whatever, because here we get what I believe to be the first great moment in the show. Obi-Wan, who is walking around looking like the most sus person ever, sees an old clone trooper begging for credits, and Obi-Wan, who is haunted by memories of the past and all his past failures, is given a harsh reminder of the old Republic days, and how the clones betrayed him and wiped out all the Jedi. And Ewan McGregor's acting is absolutely on point. He conveys so many emotions in this one short scene: sadness, regret, anger, and pity, and he does it so seamlessly.
Nice.
The critics, bought or not, were right to praise Ewan, because he's simply fantastic, but I don't think I need to convince you of that. So, Obi-Wan meanders around until the plot is ready to be explained to his bumbling ass. So he talks to some girl with a mullet, who offers him some spice, wink wink, and directs him to arguably one of the most irritating characters in all the Star Wars movies and shows. This wonderful character is Haja Estree, and he starts off as a con artist, and quite frankly, I kind of liked him at first as a dishonest, money-hungering scumbag, and if he stayed like that, I probably would have liked him more. But then, out of nowhere, he all of a sudden turns into a courageous freedom fighter ready to die and go toe-to-toe with Reva. And I'm sure you're wondering, oh, I've obviously left something out, but no, I really haven't. His character literally does a complete 180 in the space of about 10 minutes. Again, a lot happens, but nothing happens. So Obi-Wan is able to find where baby Leia is being held, and he beats up Flea and his gang, but obviously Leia doesn't trust the, strange bearded man in the overcoat. And Obi-Wan could probably explain this misunderstanding by saying something like, he knows who her dad and mom are, and he knows who she is, or whatever, but no, we need baby Leia to run away again, so cue the Benny Hill theme song again, but this time with stormtroopers. Reva is off in the distance looking like Batman, and she hears the commotion, so she runs over like she's bloody Forrest Gump on crack, and reaches him the same time as Mr. Grand Inquisitor.
Hello.
They have a slight disagreement, which leads to Reva frigging impaling the Grand Inquisitor, which allows Obi-Wan to escape. The incompetence within this group really makes it easy to believe that they could be toppled by a bunch of rowdy teenagers who'd blow up the Death Star on a dare. I mean, the Death Star was put into action for the first time when it destroyed Alderaan, right? Then, literally, about 2 days later, it gets blown up. What the hell, Empire? Were you all drunk when you put these idiots in power? I mean, bloody hell. No wonder you incompetent flatfoots got defeated by a bunch of rock-chucking, 2-foot teddy bears armed with spears, you losers. Anyway, moving on. So, Mr. Grand Inquisitor has been shish kebabbed, and Reva is entirely to blame. And yet, in the next episode, when she goes before the man, the myth, the legend, the biggest, the baddest, the one and only Darth Vader, he's just like, Okay, lol. Well, you better not screw up like Mr. Grand Inquisitor did.
Hello.
Excuse me? Screw up? His idiot subordinate literally got in the way of the mission and turned him into a frigging pincushion. Vader, mate, you killed a bunch of kids because you were told they might grow up into Jedi and turn against the Republic, and you're letting this plank of wood live? I guess the fires of Mustafar really did cook your brain, you absolute donut. But Obi-Wan and Baby Leia are off to discount Tatooine, because in the Disney Star Wars canon, there is only Tatooine. But they go to look for some contact that will help them. They don't know who they are, where they'll be, or what time to meet them. Now, if I got told to fly to a completely different country to meet some random chap who I didn't know, who I was told from a very unreliable source would help me, I kinda hope that at least narrow it down to a bloody state, let alone an entire freaking planetoid. But whatever. Let's keep this roller coaster moving. So Mr. Wan and Baby Leia hitch a ride with some stormtroopers, which I must admit was a rather tense scene and I quite liked it. I love this in movies and shows when people are hiding in plain sight and you're left wondering, will they be caught or won't they? But then Obi-Wan kind of makes it easy for the troopers by mentioning Leia by name.
Hello there.
He tells the troopers her name is Luna, and then literally 20 seconds later he calls her Leia, which basically ruins the whole facade, which just proves that Anakin wasn't the only one whose brain got cooked by the heat. Now, this was the episode that made me start to hate this show. The first two episodes I was rather indifferent to, thinking that, like most shows, it just needed to build some steam, and then it would really take off. Well, the complete opposite happened in this episode. We get teased with some shots of Hayden Christensen, who had about as much screen time as Luke did in The Force Awakens, even though he was talked up a lot in the marketing and did extensive interviews to psych us up for the damn show. Then we get like 2 minutes of him in the whole show. But that wasn't what turned me hostile to the show. It's what they did to Obi-Wan. So after being rescued by their contact, whose name eludes me and I can't be bothered checking it out, so let's just call her Alaria Sand. They get taken to some random village and lo and behold, the man in black, the biggest and baddest boy, Darth Vader, rolls on into town. He starts killing people with impunity to draw out Obi-Wan. And I've heard some people say that this was dumb, but I thought it was rather clever. Because Vader remembers Obi-Wan to be an upstanding Jedi hell-bent on protecting people at any cost. And so he knows this tactic will work. But it doesn't, because Obi-Wan isn't Obi-Wan anymore. He's just some random hobo with a lightsaber that he hasn't used up to at this point in the show. But now, for the duel of the century, two old friends, now enemies, cross sabers, and only one can survive.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm.
Although they're both in A New Hope, so I guess we're just meant to forget about that. But now, they fight. And by fight, I mean Obi-Wan takes one look at Vader and runs off like an absolute coward.
Run away! Run away!
And if that wasn't bad enough, he gets absolutely steamrolled by Vader and tossed up and down the garden path, literally getting his butt toasted in the flames, showing that Obi-Wan isn't just rusty, he's completely useless. He's a box full of wet matches, a car with no wheels, a box full of broken pencils. He's completely pointless. Now, people were upset when they saw Luke get turned into a crotchety old hermit, and now I know how they feel. Because as I watched my hero Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi get treated like an absolute tool, it just broke me. It was so horrible, I wanted to stop watching, but like a 15-car pile-up on the highway, I couldn't look away at the devastation that unfurled before my eyes. And also Baby Leia gets kidnapped. Again! Because Reva, the plank of wood that can do no wrong, somehow finds her and kidnaps her again. But seriously, the geography to how she catches Baby Leia makes no sense whatsoever. Baby Leia is running to escape on some ship through a tunnel that is hidden by a false wall, and somehow Reva deduces that the wall is false, gets into the tunnel, and somehow gets in front of Baby Leia to kidnap her, even though Leia had like a 20-minute head start and the tunnel was one way.
What?
Hey, Reva's just that good, I suppose. So after Obi-Wan has finished being treated like the prison bitch, he's saved by Alaria Sand, again, who takes him to Ice Cube to heal him. And this next episode may not have been the most offensive like the previous episode. It certainly was the most retarded. But you'll have to tune in to next week's video, because this is shaping up to be a bloody long one. And I think just like the first 3 episodes for this video is necessary, or else I'm going to lose my sanity. So, until next week, my chums and chumettes, I bid thee farewell, and I hope you like the firm dressing down that this stupid show has received. So, adieu all.